What's happening, everybody? Welcome to Nuts and Bolts MMA, where you will get the nuts and bolts of what's going on inside the world of MMA. We've got a great show for you. We will be previewing UFC Vegas 24. There's some news items to get to. Of course, some more controversy on Twitter. Never stops. We'll call it the Twitter Beef Corner. And please go to Nuts and Bolts MMA on Facebook and Instagram. Instagram is doing pretty good. It's Nuts MMA on Twitter. We are now on Stitcher, and videos are being uploaded on YouTube. So go check out all the content that we will bring to you daily. I am your host, Travis Montgomery. I am doing great. I'm working this week. I ran on Tuesday. I got my third best 10K time. And that was after running a marathon on Saturday. I was super sore, but I got through it. I'm working in a place where they forge aluminum. There's 5 forges in this building. And near the top of it, it's so hot that you can't even touch the metal. So that's why we're installing these huge fans for ventilation. And that's what I do. I'm an electrician, for anyone who doesn't know, but I am joined today. We're going to go through the card and some of these news items with Stone Sensei G Rob. How are you doing, my dude?
I'm doing good. I'm missing the field out there. Jesus, missing the field out there in the world. What's it called? I do HVAC.
Oh, you do?
I do HVAC, commercial HVAC.
So you haven't been working?
No, man. I actually am on disability right now. I have some back issues going on and whatnot, but those are going to be solved soon. I get to have the Aljamain Sterling surgery and get a disc fusion in my neck.
Oh, on your neck. That's right. You know what, dude?
Yeah.
Thank you for mentioning that. That's a news item that I've forgotten to put in there.
Yeah.
Aljamain Sterling's out with a neck injury. Probably, what is it? So you might know a little bit about the recovery time on that. How long is he gonna
Yeah. So he says the doctors told him he could do cardio in 3 months. Now, the one I'm going to have done is going to be a full, like, 3 discs pulled out right here, fused up. And they said for my recovery time, in 3 months, I can go back to work if I don't do anything physical. Right. But if I do something physical, like working in a trade, something like that, you need a 6 months recovery. Long story short, it's something like a 6 months recovery time to get out there where you're doing physical things and, putting your body under stress and where your neck's going to be fine and solid and holding that. He wants to fight he wants to start doing cardio in 3 and getting ready to fight within 6 months. I don't know. I feel like he might be pushing it. I feel like at the same time, though, athletes are a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for here? They are a little bit, no, they're a little
resilient.
They put in the time and effort to get better, whereas a normal person is not going to be, doing. They're more determined. Exactly. Sexy. They're more,
I'm just kidding.
Is a sexy word.
What happened, dude? Did a condenser fall on your head? How'd you hurt your neck?
No, I've had this neck problem for about 10 years now. It started up when I was in the Navy, and it's just stuck with me. And what it is it's basically I have spinal canal stenosis in my spine, which is essentially arthritis in my spinal canal in the most basic way. And what this is doing is putting pressure on my nerves, which is causing things to just go haywire. And then
is that kind of a natural thing?
Yeah, they don't really, there's no acute injury to the area to cause any of this. So one guy told me congenital stuff. Another person told me maybe not, so I really don't know yet. I have to get an MRI on my neck on Sunday, actually, at 8:45 p.m.
All right, you bet. Well, okay. Well, I want to hear a little bit about the Navy and how did you get your start in MMA? When did you start watching the fights?
Oh God. So I started watching fights before I was in the Navy. I started watching fights in like 97, I would say.
Old school.
About 90, old school. I mean, I remember back when they would have like they would have some UFC fights on FX.
Mm-hmm.
And Frank Shamrock back then. That was the dude. I swear, Frank Shamrock was him in that Tito fight. That was the one that got me into it. Him and Tito, that shit was just, to me at the time, like the most bonkers shit in the world. And then I got a hold of some fucking DVDs and tapes from a business partner of my dad's who was really into MMA. So as a kid, I was just into it. And then I started training it in high school. I had already wrestled in middle school and like early years of high school through a club. Never wrestled actually in high school. I never could keep grades. I was one of those types. But did that, started training my senior year for, we have something called a senior project in California at the time, in this area, where you had to do a project your senior year, you know, for the whole year. And that was the thing that you passed and graduated, or you didn't pass and you didn't graduate. So I chose MMA and I had to do that, and entered a jiu-jitsu tournament. And I did not win, you know, didn't get beat up, but I definitely didn't place or anything like that. So and that was that.
Cool. Where exactly are you at in California?
Stockton, where I was in Stockton. Now I'm in Concord.
Oh shit. 209, bitch. What? Nice. So I'm guessing you're a Diaz fan.
Oh man, you know what's funny? My older brother used to sell weed to Nate in high school.
Well, that doesn't exactly narrow it down, but
no, it's funny. It's yes, we're fans. I guess you can say yes, I'm a fan, but by no means am I a fanboy. Like, I train in the same area and things like that. And
yeah, you guys are in the weeds.
Yeah,
no pun there. There's no pun. You guys are in the weeds when it comes to Stockton fighters, I guess.
So, but no, they're cool.
Okay, well, very nice to have you. Your name is Stone Sensei, and this might be a good time to bring up just the wonders of weed.
I'm high right now. I'll be honest. I'm very anxious. I should not be high right now.
You're doing great, brother. There's few drugs in the world that have provided, pain relief, anxiety relief, depression. I think it's a wonder drug. Other than vaccines, it may be the best drug ever in the world.
Right.
Because what is it? CBD's stopping epilepsy for children in its tracks. I mean, I think it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. I'm so glad that it's legal now for people to use.
Yeah, no, I use it for my back, and it doesn't necessarily take away the pain, but it definitely makes everything manageable. And just, the thought process behind it isn't, so pain focused, and it does help with my nerves. I actually have this damn balm I bought. And at first it was expensive as shit. And I was not looking forward to, buying it, but I said, fuck it, and I'm not gonna let that shit works. I don't use it often because, it is expensive, but when it's bad, I'll slap that bitch on my thigh and my butt cheek, and, because my left leg is like 3 inches shorter than my right leg. It's ridiculous.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's all because I'm telling you, my shit is so whooped. Like,
well, to go back a little bit, I wrestled in high school too, and I don't know how you did it with that short leg. Anyways.
Oh no, that shit's that's only because my back is so fucked up. It's causing the muscles to pull and tighten, which is causing like my whole leg just to be so tense that it hurts to straighten it out.
Wow.
So so it's basically it's a joke to say it's 3 inches shorter. That's just fun.
All right, well, let's hop into some news now. 2 title fights have been announced this week. One of them being John Blachowicz, however you want to say it, versus Glover Teixeira, September 4th, UFC 266. The venue is to be determined at this point. John wanted a little break, and he's getting it. Glover's finally getting his title shot. What do you think about this?
I like this fight so much because it's like the exact same fighter, but like the old version of it with the new old version of it, because Jan is still old as shit himself. Like they're both old. And they both fight the exact same way. I mean, they're both very, good with their hands, heavy hands. They have a really heavy top games with their jiu-jitsu. Who's the better wrestler? Who has better conditioning? Because whoever can get the takedown and hold the takedown is going to win the fight. I think they're going to cancel each other out on their feet.
Yeah, it's Glover can take a shot too.
And Glover hits, and Glover fights the exact same way that Jan fights in a weird way. Like,
yeah, I'm excited for this one.
I like it. I like the fight very much. I'm really happy for Glover. But
I mean, it's not like Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler type level of excitement, but it's
you don't
cool.
think so?
It's the light heavyweight division. I'm sorry, since John Jones left, it's kind of like, we wanted for so long to John to move up to heavyweight or to wonder what the division would look like, and now it's like we've got Jean Blachowicz, Glover Teixeira, Alexander Rakic, Dominic Reyes. It's kind of stale a little bit. We need some new blood.
Well, you got that kid Jiri. What's his name? Jiri the other little Polish kid or whatever, Croatian kid. He's fun.
He fights knocked out next week, I believe, right?
Yeah. Is it next week? Yeah, he knocked out the Ozdemir something crucial when they fought, and I think he's going to be something special to watch coming soon.
Yeah, he fights Dominic Reyes May 1st. I'm sorry. So we'll be covering that one. I guess let's move it on. We move this division along.
Yeah.
I keep fading John Blachowicz, but he keeps proving me wrong. So we'll see. Gun to my head. I was thinking Glover after the Izzy fight, but now I'm leaning John. I don't know. What do you think?
I thought Glover, just because of the style matchup.
Oh, we've got a contrarian here now.
Okay. Yes, I do. I can't not root for the old guys. Yeah, he was Chuck Liddell's protege. That's like what the best thing about this is. He was like, he came up with the John Hackleman Pitt guys. Like Glover is from back in the day, and like every time he wins, it's a fuck you to all the kids who say people from back. I'm sorry, but it's like an F you to all. It's like an F you to all the people who say like guys from the old days couldn't like compete today. Okay, it's like no, there's an old dude from the back then who's competing today. Andre Arlovsky's another one who's doing it on the same cards.
Oh, we'll get into him in a little bit. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. In fight years, they're ancient in fight years.
Yeah. They got a little heated.
I was really hoping Johnny Walker was going to do something, but he's just too crazy. Jim Crute might be one that you need to keep your eye on.
I've heard about him. Yeah. I've heard about him. Haven't seen him yet. Johnny Walker, he had his moment. He had his hopes. He dislocated his shoulder.
So the other fight that was announced was Amanda Nunes versus Juliana Pena. And I mean, I don't.
That's at this point, it's like who wants to fight Amanda is going to get the fight. And Juliana Pena wanted the fight, so she got the fight.
Because she has the game plan to beat her, apparently.
Wrestle. She's gonna try and wrestle fuck her.
I think the only one that could beat Amanda is the Iron Lady.
Valentina.
Well, Valentina did beat Amanda. That's a whole nother conversation.
Oh, I agree with you.
But
I absolutely agree. You think Jermaine Durandamy could win?
Jermaine Durandamy, yeah. I think she could if she tightened up her wrestling a little bit. I think she's right there. But anyways, Amanda's going to drop down to 135 or she fought last. Yeah. Champ is going to defend one of her belts.
Yeah, I think they're going to kill the. I think there's the featherweight division that's 145.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're going to kill their 145 division. I mean, it's so thin.
Dana White said as long as Amanda's around, that division will be around.
Oh, Jesus.
So
that means they're going to do super fights whenever they come around.
Yes, this is going to be at UFC 265 in August, and that's all we know so far. So that should be fun. Another fun fight that just got announced is Carlos Diego Ferreira, CDF, will fight Gregor Gillespie at a UFC event on May 8th.
Now, is this Gregor? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No.
Is this Gregor's first fight since getting head kicked by Kevin Lee?
Yes. So it's all going to be determined on how he comes back after the massive head kick and a broken jaw.
Yeah, that was
CDF has looked, you know, in his career, he's had some ups and downs, but I think he's going to probably win this one.
If Gregor Gillespie just decides to wrestle like he should and focus on that, setting it up with his hands, you know what I mean? Obviously, but just really wrestling and just using his skills in that way, I don't see why he will lose. I don't think he's going to want to do that because I think he got head kicked by Kevin Lee and he might want to come out and be like, I won't get head kicked again. Let me show you my hands. And then get beat up because of it.
Well, he could mess around and get subbed on the ground because CDF is very good.
He is, but I always feel like a really good, like, top heavy wrestler can, you know, like Ben Askren survived with Damian Maia for most of that. It'd be like, I feel like a younger Ben Askren would have been just fine because that was old, blown out hip Ben Askren.
Correct. I think by the time Askren got to the UFC, he was already kind of done. You know, he had a lot.
Yeah,
he had his wrestling career, and then he had a lot of wars in Bellator and won. We should have came to the UFC a long time before he did. So it
would have been fun to.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it would have been fun to watch him when he was reigning Bellator and Strikeforce and stuff to come over and fight GSP at that time.
Yep,
that'd have been fun. Back at his prime, but we'll never know.
Yep, Gregor Gillespie is ranked 15th, and CDF is ranked 12th. So that lightweight division's always fun.
It is going to be fun.
Okay, now to the Twitter beef corner. Rose Namajunas came out in an interview and got Twitter lit up a little bit for her comments that I don't really see too much fault in this. And we've also got to remember that these people are MMA fighters. They're not professional speakers. They don't have publicists. Rose is kind of out there to begin with. She's not normal by fighters' standards. She is in her own world. And maybe she was just saying this stuff to kind of get herself hyped up, get in the zone. Rob, why don't you, what was her comment again that she said?
She said, it's better dead than red. And that comes from an old movie of some sort from back in the day. But it's just funny, like you said, like you hit it on the nail. Like people like get mad at what fighters say. And I don't understand why. I mean, fighters are not smart people in general. You know, like you have fighters who are smart. You have fighters who are smart, who are very smart. But what I mean by that, they're choosing a profession in which they're damaging their brains, you know, for money and, you know, glory. And that requires a certain type of psychology, which requires a certain type of mindset. And sometimes people have to frame things in certain ways just to, you know, do what they have to do. you know, like you see with the Diaz brothers, how they turn everything into war, quote unquote, war. And then, you know, Rose now is making it into this, you know, thing for her, I think. But it all comes from a real place with her, though. That's the different aspect to it.
The red part of what she's saying means communism. And for people that don't know, communism under Stalin and under Mao and under other rulers were, and communism is the state run production of goods. That means when the government controls everything, and it's led to hundreds of millions of deaths throughout time. And the CCP, who's running China right now, is a very dangerous thing. They have Uyghur Muslims in concentration camps, and they have Christians. They're literally slaves right now. And we have a kind of a intellectual war going on with China right now for intellectual property and even physical property in the South China Sea. I mean, there's a lot going on here. So for, I think a lot of people on Twitter, they just see a means to pounce, and then you get this group mentality, this herd, this mob rage, and everyone just goes at Rose. And it's, I would like somebody to explain what she said was so bad. I mean, we get fighters talking trash all the time. Is it because she said the word dead, or because she referred to communism? I mean, what do you think, Rob?
I think people are mad because of the association was, you know, Whaley, because, you know, the main gripe is, you know, Whaley doesn't talk about politics. So how do you know she's a communist? How do you know,
It's true.
That's why are you bringing her into your shit? You know, that's the main thing, I think, with most people that I've seen, at least. And, you know, you can argue the point, you know, with logic there. And, you know, you can say that, you know, the probability that Whaley is told not to say anything and things like that, and she's just doing as she's told, you know, but is still working, you know what I mean? It's, you know, hand in step with the government because of her status as a celebrity, you know, like you can tell people that, but they're going to look at you and tell you you're wrong and being racist right now. And, you know, Twitter is a weird place. They're going to tell you, or I feel like you said, there's that mob mentality where people get real tribalistic and they don't, like, they forget about critical thinking, nuance, and context. And again, they expect fighters to be these laureates where they just can speak eloquently and, you know, put their thoughts out in a ways where people can understand them. And in reality, that's absolutely typically not the norm. GSPs and Chael Sonens and guys who are really eloquent with the mic and who can talk good are very far and few between. And ones who can explain themselves, you know, intelligently, are even farther. I mean, Justin Gaethje, for example, thought Paulo Costa was going to beat Adesanya, and this man, that was a joke, but
yeah,
you know, you get guys who have these horrible, you know, obviously they're not smart in a certain way. Like, they're smart in what they do, they're geniuses in what they do in their crafts, but you can't.
That's a brutal way to put it, but you may not
I'll
be
be
wrong.
I'm telling you, I've been in those gyms. I've God damn it, I've talked to them. You know, I've watched them get ready for fights, and God damn it, they're idiots. Brilliant idiots, though. I mean, that's the thing. Brilliant idiots. Stupid logic. It's almost like meathead logic, but with like this spiritual sense to it because it's martial arts. And it works in some respects for some of them, and a lot of times it's like, God damn it. But
Also, I think Twitter's algorithm spits out this stuff at people and paints it in a way that is favorable to China. If that makes any sense. If it doesn't, step your algorithms game up.
I know how their algorithms are designed to, like, create negative interactions or something like that, or to stimulate those kind of interactions because they whatever. But as far
And
as the China
sexual.
stuff, yeah, I believe that too. That makes sense. Instagram.
So she I don't know if I interrupted you here, but she also went on, did another interview after this and tried to walk some of the stuff back, but didn't kind of double down while walking it back in a sense too. Did you
Is that
catch
after
one?
that? Is that the Helwani one? Because I
Yeah.
watched I watched the whole Helwani. That's like 7 minutes as we're talking about it, and it was I was like I said, I started writing like I was a goddamn psychiatrist.
Well, what you
How
got?
does it go? Rose's position isn't worried about outside opinion. Comes from personal place, referencing the Cuban arsenal, Cuban Americans and things like that, right?
Yeah, where's her family from?
Lithuania. But it's again like how Cuban Americans are in Miami with, when you reference Fidel Castro to them or any type of socialism or any kind of things like that, they immediately get just are no.
Jorge
We don't want
Masvidal.
no part. Exactly. But she goes on to say, like in that interview, like she goes, like in her words, she's like, this isn't about, like, she has no animosity towards Whaley. In her words, she loves everybody as a human being, but she can't, she also admits, like, Helwani, like, do you think Whaley, could not be, he brings in people on Twitter basically talking about, she doesn't talk about politics and things like that. And, she goes, is that a possibility that maybe she's not involved? She goes, yeah, it's definitely a possibility. It's definitely a possibility that she doesn't believe in it. But, it's also a possibility that they're telling her not to talk. She goes, and it's like, yeah, there's both possibilities. And she's running with the other one. And for her, it's just I really got the idea that it was really just her playing Freedom, Captain Freedom, and punching the commie in the face, because that's exactly what it is for her. Like, this is her Rocky 4.
Yeah. So no matter what Wiley Zhang thinks about her government, there's no way she could ever say anything bad about her own government.
No,
Exactly. If you see what happens to, dude, when they were doing these protests, and we'll get off of this, but last year when they were protesting in Hong Kong, over the past couple of years, they're protesting the Chinese Communist Party. There was vans picking people up off the street, and they were disappearing, and they never see them again.
Yeah, no, I followed that, and that was very.
They just pick them up and they're gone. Time. And they're gone.
Yeah,
forever.
That entire process was very troubling. I mean, they had an agreement. China said, "Fuck your agreement. We're going to make you guys into a." What the fuck they do? They took away their independent or their anonymity, so that they could then extradite people from Hong Kong or whatever it was back to mainland China, and it was just a really troubling thing, and the world was just like shoulder shrug. There's nothing we can go over there and do.
Yeah. So
sorry to see your freedom go.
A couple last things. China's not our friend. They are our adversaries for sure. And another thing, I have one question. Like, if we were in a full-scale war with China, would this fight even happen? That I was debating this in my head. I mean,
no.
You don't think so?
No.
I don't know.
Khabib and all those guys would not be. Yeah, no. There's a whole.
Probably not.
I think that's a whole other podcast right there.
And you know what? UFC wants that China paper. They want that China paper.
Everyone wants that China money. Everyone
Especially
does.
Marvel.
No, but you know what though? I will say this though, when it comes to combat athletes and combat sports in general throughout history, I feel like those kind of
they could like represent their country in combat, kind of like, like
in
Rocky.
A weird way. Like I feel like that might be able to happen.
It's a debate,
but at the same time, I like, now that I really think about it, no one was doing that shit during World War II. I don't think.
Well, I mean, there's not. All right, we're getting a little lost here. We're gonna
We're
bring it
definitely
back.
getting off. That's definitely off in the
Um,
weeds. Let's bring it back.
So, I personally, it takes a lot to offend me or to lose me as a fan. If you'll lose me as a fan, if I think that you're dogging it, not because you said some dumb shit.
Hmm.
That's where we will wrap that up. I like both, and I mean, Rose is kind of a crazy person. She's the most beautiful hair in the world, and she chopped it all off. And it's like it made she went from like a 9.5 to a 6.25, like overnight. So
She looks like a skinny Bobby Hill.
yes, okay. So I'm glad that's out of the way now. Let's get on to some of the real stuff now. The fights that are going to happen this weekend: UFC Vegas 24, UFC ESPN. It's on the big show.
Yes, yes, yes. Do you want
For
to start
our
with?
first fight, we're going to actually start with Luis Pena versus Alexander Munoz. What do you got for these two?
I had such high hopes for Munoz before he got his ass beat in his last fight. I don't know. This is a weird one. I feel like Munoz might come out and Michael Chandler Pena and just KO him, but I also feel like Pena might just be able to defend the takedown and just stick and move and just Bob Ross him violently. So this is a topic for me. I'm picking Pena on this one, but it's definitely I definitely wouldn't be surprised if Munoz was able to catch him. I feel like taller guys get caught a lot more by the short little wrestler dude with a powerful ass right hand from nowhere.
So it's unfortunate that Alexander Munoz had to take on Nasrat Haqparast.
That was his name.
Haqparast, and in that fight, he took him to a decision. And I think Nasrat his ceiling's super duper high. He's like on a Fiziev level almost. This lightweight's so fun. It's like the top 10, 15. You could almost match up any one of those are good. And it's so good that there's these killers that are just like waiting to jump up in there.
No, I know. And I just really think, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
And for me, Luis Pena, he's got that interesting look that the UFC wants to promote, but I'm actually going to go the other way. And I'm going to be having a 1-unit bet on Alexander Munoz at plus 135 right now. And I don't know if you caught on yet, but I'm into the betting aspect of these things too.
Okay.
I have a couple lined up. Anything else you'd like to say about this fight? I mean, Luis Pena, like you said, he's got the Bob Ross look. And you were going to say something about Nasrat, I think.
I was going to say Nasrat beat the hell out of Munoz. And I understand Munoz was on a short notice fight there, but I feel like his game is very dependent on being able to get the takedown. And if he can't do it, I don't think he's explosive enough like Michael Chandler to kind of close that distance, or a Chad Mendes to kind of close in and just, Mike Tyson you. He's just that half step behind. I think that's because, I feel like if he was fighting, a few years ago, a different story when he was younger. But
a lot of people don't remember. He fought Nick Newell on the Contender Series.
Yeah, he was the Team Alpha Male's wrestling coach for a long time, and he just was one of those guys where he couldn't get fights. People just didn't want to fight him, and it was back in the day. So, it's like, I feel like he's one of those guys that kind of missed his shot. But
I'm going to be taking him. I think he's going to take Bob Ross down and get this decision win. Luis Pena, I don't see his ceiling. He's not going to ever reach the top 15. And maybe Munoz will, but I think he's got a higher ceiling, and I'm going to be taking him. Abdul Razak Al Hassan versus Jacob Malkoun. What do you think about this one?
I am taking Al Hassan. I don't know much about the other guy. But
Well, he's kind of in the UFC because he's Whitaker's training partner, and he got knocked out in 18 seconds in his debut. He's already
yeah,
35
see,
years old. He's a brawler that doesn't go good with, you know, Al
yeah,
Hassan's power.
I'm gonna stick with that then because Al Hassan, man, that even in his last fight where he lost to what was his name, Laziz, that was, oh man, he,
Well,
I don't, I
he got knocked out by Chaos Williams, which is
did he
no
get knocked out
shame.
by Chaos Williams too?
Yeah, he missed weight twice, so he's
Mm,
going up to middleweight. Finally, I think he's primed for a KO here out of Fortis MMA. I love betting people from Fortis MMA. So I'm going to probably be doing something in a parlay with him. I'm not sure
mhm.
exactly what yet, but we can move on unless you have something else to say.
Oh, you know what? No, I don't. I really don't. I do like Hassan, but I'm also a fanboy, and I like how he fights. And my opinion is totally biased in this.
Yeah, well, we got
You,
two brawlers in there, so it's
yeah, I just think he's a very technical, stupid brawler. Like he like when he gets rocked, there's no like step back or recovery. It's just like let me just swing back harder and leg kick you at the same time, and it's beautiful, stupid violence. He reminds me of Melvin Manhoef for a little bit,
oh,
but with a slightly better chin and less knockout power.
Manhoof reference.
Yes, sir. You remember the man with no chin but with all the power.
Hmm. And they're over under. You can get it at 1.5 and 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
Under 2.5 is in the minus 230 range, which I think
What does that mean?
rounds. So if it goes past 2.5 minutes in the set of the third round, that's under 2.5 rounds, or that would
Okay.
be over. So a half a round is 2.5 minutes.
Okay.
And we're here to give you the nuts and bolts of betting MMA too. Here we go. All right. Andre Arlovsky versus Chase Sherman. I'm
Uh,
old enough to remember when Chase Sherman was doing these cartoons on Twitter. They were pretty damn good. I think they kept him in the UFC for longer than he should have in his first round. But um, we've got Arlovsky slight favorite minus 130, and Chase Sherman is plus 105, plus 100 area. What do you think about this fight?
I think it's like a blast of the past. Um, um, Arlovsky, I mean, he's ageless. Um, I don't know. I don't know enough about Chase Sherman. I really don't.
Well,
Um,
he got suspended for steroids, so
did he
he's off the
really?
juice coming back after a couple of years. This fight's going to go either Chase Sherman first round KO or Andre Arlovsky decisions him, but he just took a beating by Aspinall, a severe beating. And there's points in Arlovsky's career where I thought his chin was gone, but then he came back and proved me wrong.
He's
But
just a weird one. He's,
yeah,
he's so weird. Like you said, like his chin's there, it's not there. So I don't know if he puts steroids in his chin and just times it. I don't. This
he's
man
got
is
that
just
chin
weird.
juice.
He shoots cortisone shots into his gums.
Yeah, I think most likely it's going to be a first round KO by Chase Sherman, but this is a stay away fight for me from a betting aspect.
Hmm.
So
I feel like heavyweight fights in general are just like unless they're like really obvious heavyweight fights.
so
Like I
you
looked at
can
I was in Reno and for the Curtis Blades and Derek Lewis fight, and I went to the little kiosk and looked at the betting line, and I looked at that and I said, shit, I should bet on Derek
you spin
because
on who?
Derek Lewis
Oh,
just because it was $100 to win 250 or whatever it was or something like
yeah.
that. So I was like, I should do this. I was like, nah, fuck it. I'm not gonna do it. It was one. I just don't like. I'm not big on the gambling. I just haven't got into it. And fucking shit. I'm sitting in the lounge when he knocks him out, and I'm like, yes, I didn't bet this.
um, yeah, especially if you've got an addictive personality like me, might want to stay away. It's taken me a long time to figure out a system for me of betting where if I lose, I'm not losing a lot of money. And
Hmm.
when I win, I take that money home. Like for instance, I bet the dude that beat DJ the other what was it like last week? He was a
Yeah.
huge underdog. And I was like, screw this. I'm taking this money home tonight. I did that. And I had a bad betting event coming on the UFC. And I was glad I took that money home because I ended up in the in the plus.
Right.
Because I know myself, if I there's like a bad split decision or sometimes a bad like a stupid bet and then my fighter got KO'd and I'm pissed off. I'm like, fuck this, start tapping the button. And it's not good for anyone. Next, we have our co-main event of the evening, Jeremy Stevens versus Drakkar Klose. This is going to be a banger. It's actually weird because Drakkar Klose was supposed to fight Luis Pena, and somebody
Yeah.
in Pena's camp got COVID. So now they rebooked it, but they rebooked it with different opponents. What do you think about this fight?
I thought that was weird. I think I feel like Luis Pena got like the short end of the stick because he got COVID. Like, oh, I got the vid, so now I'm at the bottom of the card, not the co-main. Like, I lose the fight and everything else. But anyways, I think Jesus, Close is a fun one. But when like, I was just rewatching him and Dariush earlier, and the way he was able to survive, Dariush's like ground attack from obviously from a standing position, but he survived that choke attempt. He survived that back take from a really high level grappler, and then was able to land some really nice shots. In the second round before obviously getting KO'd in the way he did. But the shots he landed definitely, were knocking out most other people. I feel like Dariush is one of those guys who's just iron chinned like, Tony Ferguson or any one of those other high level lightweights who are kind of retarded. And I feel like Jeremy Stevens is coming back up from 145. He did okay down there. He had an okay lightweight run. He's a home run swinger. He's swinging for them fences, but you touch him in the body, you touch him in the chin. He's not impervious to going out. So it's definitely gonna be it's a toss up for me. I feel like Close is a little more technical, a little more compact, a little more powerful with the shots. I like the way he kicks sometimes. It's just I like Close.
Yeah, he hasn't won a fight in over 3 years. And he has that style where it's going to catch up to him eventually. Calvin Kattar lit him up like a Christmas tree. That was a terrible. It's like this game, you give it to him. Like he finished Josh Emmett in brutal fashion, and then he got it right back with Calvin Kattar. Boy,
and Jose Aldo broke his liver. It felt like that was so disgusting.
Yes,
oh God,
he ate that shit with some onions and some gravy.
And that's washed Aldo too, mind you. That was, as people on Twitter like to say.
Now be careful because you're talking about my Aldo here.
I love Aldo. No, don't get me wrong. There's no Aldo slander here. It's just for some reason people like to just write Aldo off like he's when he's really
he
just
won a
like,
round against Peter Yan.
Yeah, I feel like
That
honestly,
second round, I believe he won.
Yeah.
So
I think he did.
I'm actually going to be Drakkar Klose is the underdog here. So thank you very much. It's starting to flip on some areas. I'll take the plus 105 right now. So we've got Munoz plus 135 and Drakkar Klose plus 105. I've got two underdogs already here, ladies and gentlemen. I think by the time I bet it, it'll be let's call it plus 130. I think I'm down 2.5 units. So let's try and get it back on this one. Our main event, and by far the best fight of the night. Kelvin Gastelum versus Robert Whitaker. What say you, Stone Sensei?
I have no idea. This is going to be a fucking banger. I love it. I think Kelvin, if he fights the way he fight the other Eastern European German dude, Heinich or whatever his name is, where you wrestled him and he was real, his conditioning was on point and he was smart. He timed his shots with his hands. He was able to get him when he needed him. He was able to hold it down, and maintain position and not get, crazy or dumb. If he fights smart and conditioned, I don't see any reason why Kelvin can't win this fight. His 1-2 is fucking lightning fast. I mean, first off with his hands, and he knows how to set up takedowns if he's just with the best of them, as long as he's smart about it. It's when he gets dumb and stupid. It's like when he was fighting Izzy and he, landed that head kick and gets him up on the cage and decides to go for a takedown. When it's like his IQ sometimes is retarded. He's also Mexican. I feel like that's a trait we have in combat.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be taking Robert Whitaker. He is a heavy.
Oh, I feel like that's the smart bet for sure. Don't get me wrong, but man, Kelvin is fucking.
Kelvin, he does this great. He's one of the most talented middleweights on the planet.
He is great as an underdog.
He just does this thing where he stops fighting. He just forgets he's in a fight, and he'll just stand there and get hit, or he'll forget that Ian Heinisch is on his leg. He's kind of just stood there and let it happen. It's weird.
Yeah, it was. I mean, he's a weird motherfucker.
For all his strengths, Kelvin Gastelum, I mean, his boxing is tremendous. He comes from a great camp. I don't have very much bad things to say about him, but I believe Robert Whitaker is the best middleweight on the planet. Izzy also is the best middleweight on the planet, but Robert Whitaker's right there. I actually took Rob in their first fight. He's got one loss in the last 6 years.
Yeah, no, he's definitely the number 2. I would love to see him fight Costa. That'd be a fun one. But I think Izzy, just based on his technical ability, I think his problems are going to be strong guys with like grappling presences, like of a Marvin Vittori, maybe Chris Weidman if he can get his life together, or Luke Rockhold if they come back strong like they're planning on to. Like those guys with real grapple heavy approaches who are really big and strong and long themselves. Those are going to be the guys to beat Izzy. But I feel like guys like Robert Whitaker, Costa, these striking approaches, these striking heavy approaches, just good luck. Good luck winning a striking fight with him in an MMA fight. I mean, Kelvin came close because I feel like that was one of those things where Izzy was more willing to put on that type of fight. And, he'd obviously paid for it by eating shots. But there was at the time going into that fight, then, the narrative that, he can't be in a brawl. Izzy can't brawl because then, he's not built for it. So, ever since that brawl, he said, he goes, I did the brawl and I'll never do a brawl again. If you think about it, he hasn't been in one really since. I mean, the closest one was Whitaker, and that's because I think Whitaker is just that good where he can force it, on him and get his shots in. But still, even that was a goddamn massacre to some extent, and then the Romero, the Costa fight wasn't a war. That was something he was able to shut down. Oh shit, I think my phone's going to die.
It's okay. We're pretty much done anyways.
Okay. But it's at that division, I mean, unless Izzy decides to just get straight up in his head and just go full diva and stop training and, basically defeat himself, he's not losing that division.
True. Well, I also see Marvin Vittori can do what John Blachowicz did.
I definitely don't disagree. I mean, that first fight they had was very close, and it's going to be guys like Marvin who are going to give Izzy the problems. Someone who can counterpunch good, and then just shoot the takedown and hit not easy takedowns, but very technically sound and very energy efficient takedowns, almost to say the least.
Sweet. Okay, at the end of each episode, we give shout outs here. So quickly think of somebody who you want to give a shout out to. I'm going to give a shout out this episode to Eric Nixick, who is Francis Ngannou's coach. He's doing great work with him over there, and he's liked some of my stuff on Facebook. So shout out to Eric Nixick, trainer to the gods.
I would like to give a shout out to Kieran Fitzgibbons, the godfather at CSA. That man has produced some of the most fantastic Muay Thai, fighters, and just he is a unsung hero in the world of combat sports. He operates the gym, Combat Sports Academy, out of it's Pleasanton. I think it's out of Pleasanton, right there, and it's good stuff. Kevin Ross, Gaston Bolanos, Miriam Nakamoto, Andre Feely trains out of there. They a lot. Again, Gina Carano, back when she fought, I think was out of there a little bit. I might be making shit up there, actually. I just know she's married to Kevin Ross. I might be making shit up there. My bad. But they have a lot of good fighters out there. And they're definitely the gym to go to if you're in the area.
Nice.
If you want to get Muay Thai or anything like that.
That's awesome.
They have a great CrossFit program over there. I mean, they're on Twitter at CSA something. Just type in at CSA gym or whatever. It'll pop up, I'm sure.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you, Rob, for joining me. And thank you for all the listeners, and for everyone else, step your game up.